Hello everybody, it's Lisa Moore from Inspiring Talks Brighton. Stories. We are on to episode 6 now, and I hope that you've been enjoying the stories that we've been posting up on our YouTube channel and our Facebook group. Because we can't do live events right now, I didn't want to stop bringing inspiration to the world and bringing people's inspiring stories and their wisdom and the messages that they need to share. So I have got the lovely Justin and Fler Wright from the Wolo Foundation with me today, and they've got an amazing family story, and what's come out of their story is just incredible. I've been so impressed with what they've been through but what it's made you guys do. So Fleur, I know this is your story to a degree, but it's a family story, so share with us what happened.
Thank you, Lisa. So I was diagnosed with breast cancer a couple of years ago now when I was 38, completely out of the blue. We've got no history of it in my family or anything like that. So it was a really big shock. We've got 3 children, and life just stopped as soon as the diagnosis happened. And very quickly I was having treatment. I had surgery, a couple of surgeries, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and now I take medication and will do for the next 10 years. So I'm through it now. I mean, we're on a journey, but the Wolo came about because when I was diagnosed, we found that due to our circumstances, there wasn't really any practical support out there for families like ours. I worked part-time to fit around our young children, so we weren't eligible for any grants or anything like that. My husband worked full-time, so I did everything, and so suddenly I was out of the equation, having treatment and things, and so Justin had to step up. I don't know if you want to add a bit about your experience.
So from, I guess, Fleur's point of view, it just hit her, I can imagine. I was sort of one of those guys that was just like, oh, it'd be okay, in my head I thought, she'd go for an operation or something and it'd just be over, that's it.
Yeah.
Because like Fleur said, we had no experience with cancer.
Yeah, we've never really known anybody with cancer, have we?
No, so I think it's from diagnosis to surgery, I think it was like 8 days. So like Fleur was out the equation suddenly. So for myself, I had to get, take over as dad. I had to step up basically. And at the time, I was working full time. I was busy in my own life, doing what a lot of us guys do. And there was a fundamental flaw really. I couldn't do it essentially. I couldn't, do the school runs, get the kids up to school, pick them up, go to work, perform at work. I was almost living a lie to myself. I was doing it for a couple of months, and it just came to a point really where I said, I can't do this. Something's going to have to change. And like there were certain things happening that I was struggling with, so my mental health. Over the years I've been aware of my mental health from other sort of things that have happened. But I've always had Fleur to fall back on. Like we're a team, we get through things.
Yeah.
And she basically wasn't there at the time, so I couldn't show my emotions, what I was feeling, what I was thinking. And I sort of didn't have that friend sort of network around me really. I mean, I had, work friends, you have, your pub friends, or, but to have like some really core friends to step up. I mean, there was, a handful of, did step up, but they're all busy with their own lives.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt I was really in a lonely place. I didn't know what to do.
I can imagine that it forces you apart in some ways, doesn't it? If you've been such a good team and then all of a sudden, one of you's taken out of
logistics change entirely.
Yeah, I mean, just things that come into my head. I mean, I remember a few of the days, Fleur would be in surgery. I think it was one of the days. I get a phone call and it's like, it's like the bank to do something with the bank, and they wanted passwords and all this. And I was like, my wife's in hospital. I haven't got access. I don't know what they are. I mean, Fleur pretty much did all the bills and all that sort of stuff. And I just became, and also it wasn't at the forefront of my mind. I almost didn't care. It was like, well, just, whatever. But the more I left it, the more that was building up, more calls coming in, letters, you just put them on the side, leave them. And then, So, you know, essentially it became a real tough period of our life. But I guess where Wolo came into it was I was writing my thoughts down like on my phone. They were quite dark, you know, that there were things that I thought, you know, of course, you know, she's going to die, all this sort of stuff. Um, you know, and I was honest with the children as well. You know, we always have been honest, haven't we, with parents? You know, they're only young. We've got I mean, she was, what was she, 5, 6 at the time, Bella? And then we've got twins that were 10 at the time.
Wow. Yeah, that's tough. That's tough, isn't
You know,
it?
and they were worried. You know, Mum wasn't around. They didn't know what was going on. So, you know, I had a duty to, you know, just to be the dad and say, look, Mum's really poorly. She looked fine last week. Dad really doesn't know what's going on or what's going to happen, but we've got to, you know, get together, be a family, and we're going to get through this, you know, the best we possibly can.
Yeah.
Which is what we did do. And then I, you know, finished treatment. I went and had surgery again. I decided to have another mastectomy so that I was living flat. I was quite happy to do that.
Wow.
I know that's probably, I'm in the minority wanting that decision, but I just thought I don't want to risk anything else. I was quite big chested before, and I thought actually it feels liberating to be flat now. And so actually we, looking at all the cancer journey, we just wanted other families to be able to have the support that wasn't necessarily there for us when they were going through it themselves. So because of events that happened in our lives before, I've lost my parents, and we had IVF, things like that. We've kind of always lived to the YOLO acronym. You know, we've always kind of taken opportunities when they've become a parent, or taken a few risks to enjoy ourselves, make the most of our lives. So we kind of used the acronym YOLO, you only live once, and we changed it to we only live once, which is how WOLO came about. And we just put this, I suppose, a social media post together with Justin's thoughts,
it was
my thoughts, and put it out there.
It wasn't intended to set up charity. It was just, it wasn't even a cry for help.
It was more of a support network thing, wasn't it, really? And it went viral, and quite quickly people were like, oh, this is amazing, and we started getting people contacting us who were going through cancer themselves. So cut a longer story short, we got registered as a charity in March this year, and we live in Seaford, but we cover the whole of Sussex now. We've broadened, because initially we started quite close to home. We've now broadened to cover the whole of Sussex, and we support families through a cancer diagnosis on their cancer journey. So upon diagnosis, then all the way through their treatment, then beyond as well. So that might be if they're struggling to move forward, or it could be that they've lost a loved one actually, and they need help to not move forward, but grieve properly. And we support the whole family, so the children as well, not just the person that's been diagnosed. So
and I remember you when we spoke the other day. We had a chat about this before, and you were saying, you know, and you sort of touched upon this earlier, is that you almost fell through the net a little bit with getting the support. I mean, there's loads of, you know, everybody knows Macmillan and
there's an amazing, absolutely. There, you know, there's some incredible people out there, incredible charities, you know, that are doing absolutely unbelievable things.
But there's a gap, isn't there? And that's what
you know, my own personal journey was I walked out of the hospital with a Macmillan phone number. That's all I had.
Believing that they were going to sort everything, and actually that didn't happen. You know, they're very helpful. They've got amazing publications and things, but actually when it came down to the practical things, like, oh, and I haven't got time to cut my grass, or I need to get my wheels sorted out.
You know, for example, the kids might want to play in the garden. It's so important that, you know, we try and keep a structure, normal things going.
Or food shopping, home cooked meals, the practical things that we needed or could have done with at that time. Don't get me wrong, our friends were amazing and did really help us, but we actually wanted to create a network of people and of businesses that provide services around the county, so that we could support them by supporting those families. And so now we offer a huge range of services to these families. So the only criteria is that they have children that are under 18 upon the point of them being diagnosed. So we can also support families where the child's been diagnosed with cancer. We've got a few families on board with that scenario. And every family is really different. You know, some families don't know what it is they need or what it is they want. So it's us getting to know them and talking to them about what their position is and how we feel we could best support them.
They don't know to ask either. We found that a lot of people who are sort of in crisis, you know, I guess they don't know where to look.
And they don't like asking for help either.
And it's that pride thing, doesn't it, that comes in the way.
Yes, it is.
I think you can almost sort of come in on yourselves. It's like, right, it's our family, we'll look after each other, and that we'll be fine as a unit. But actually, it's those silly little things, isn't it? Like cutting the grass, or
a door handle that's broken, or a shelf that needs putting up, or things that you automatically get pushed to the back of the pile when your health is
not only that,
paramount.
in the past you might have relied on your loved one or your husband to be the handyman and whatnot, but then suddenly you're left on your own,
or with that he can't do the things that he could do before, and you need some help and support. So that's kind of where we're filling the gap at the moment. And we were registered, as I say, early March, so just before lockdown, and so then obviously COVID happened and we adapted our services, didn't we? So obviously a lot of charities just shut down, furloughed all their staff, but it's only Justin and I. Justin was furloughed, so we were suddenly both around all the time with the children, and we thought, actually, we need to make a difference here. There's these families that are vulnerable, most of them had to shield, they weren't allowed out at all. So we thought, let's change about what we do, and we created a project to deliver some essentials boxes to these families, which contained essential things to fresh fruit and vegetables, and some cupboard basics, and also some activity packs for the children, so they didn't get bored during lockdown. And I mean, we've had some funding to help with that project, and I mean, that's been really successful, hasn't it? It's a life, and still is. We still do that project now. We're committed to doing that to the end of the year, and it's been a lifeline for a lot of families.
Interestingly, I mean, obviously myself and Fler, it's really important that we get to know the families, especially, I mean, Zoom's so difficult, but where we've been going, meeting the families, sort of doing the deliveries and stuff. For myself, I end up speaking to the guys, the husbands and whatnot. They come out, and do you know what? They really open up. And I'm no therapist, but I've been there, I've done it, I've got the ticket, and do you know what? That we have some great conversations, and do you know what? That they, we message and whatnot, and I'm there to support. It's that brotherhood thing. We look after each other, and
it's just knowing that someone else has been through a similar situation, because we didn't have that when we were going through it. So we're working hard to create a WOLO community, so that they can meet each other via Zoom at the moment, and obviously they're meeting us, so every questions they have, they actually open up, feel free and message us, don't they? And
so what I with sort of mental health and how I suffer from anxiety, and I've been on medication for a number of years. So when I meet these other families and people, I even get the comments like they come back, they say, well, no one ever asked me that, or because if you think about it, a GP or a doctor, they can only give 10 minutes of their time, or 50. They're only limited of what they can do. But when someone actually says, can I help you? What can I do? How's your family? How's your children? It means so much to these people. And
so it's quite a personal service. I think that's what we're trying to create, really. So it's not the big Macmillan facade that you don't know anybody by name there, that sort of thing. It's actually a personal thing, so people can contact us all the time, and that we don't have a limit on how much we can give a family. We'll give them as much as we can. People have been amazing fundraising for us and things, haven't they? And as I say, we've had a few grants as well from the National Lottery and things like that to continue our project. So it's very new to Justin and I. We've never run a charity before or anything like that. So we are.
No, I'm a designer, a graphic designer. That's all. I've just sat in front of a computer screen my whole life.
It's so lovely to be able to give something back and know we're making such a difference to other people. So the other kind of side of what we do is the whole WOLO thing, is that we want to encourage people to live their best lives. And we don't want something significant happening in their lives, like a health scare or anything else, to actually make people reevaluate things. I think COVID's helped in that respect. I think a lot of people have reevaluated their lives and their priorities and things in that respect. So that's kind of the other side. So we've all, as I said before, we do as much as we can with the children. We love being in nature. We grab opportunity we can. I mean, it's not all it does not all smell of roses, is it? We've got up on the beach and watched the sunrise in the summer, thinking, it's a lovely WOLO thing to do, a WOLO moment we call it. In reality, Justin and I loved it, and the kids were freezing.
Yeah.
moaning all the time, but actually, no, they're never going to forget that moment.
So,
And we're not either.
We
It
have
was
a,
lovely.
like, we have a laugh with it. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it doesn't have to be a trip around the Maldives.
No, it doesn't. It's actually, and we've had a few micro adventures, you know, actually staying away 5 minutes from where we live and actually making the most of our local surroundings. And
you get a fire on the go, and you know, get a campfire, and you get the kids around it, or anyone else. People open up, they talk, and it's amazing.
And so important, isn't it? It's so important. And actually, Justin, you know, you even just admitting earlier about you suffering with anxiety and that you were on medication, that's not a guy thing to talk about very often.
No, it's a taboo.
No. So
Definitely.
one thing that was amazing, really. Years ago, I went on it's like a father and son's day. My wife, when the twins were very small, it's like I took my son to this day, and he's with a guy actually called Neil Lawton, who he's like ex-SAS. I think it's like Bear Grylls' friend or something like that. He's a very interesting guy. So we had this day with him, and there was this other guy there who was helped sort of mentoring, and he was a guy called John Richards, and I didn't know what he did at the time. He was just a really nice guy, basically, sort of chatting away. We swapped numbers. I came away from the day actually feeling very lucky that, you know, my relationship with my son is you know, it's great. We have a great laugh, and there was other people, the other fathers, and I could see, like, you know, certain struggles and things.
Yeah.
But it just so happened when Fler was very poorly, I was having a bad day, should we say. I remember going through my phone, and I was struggling. You know, I just needed to speak to someone. I needed someone who wasn't in my family network, impartial.
Yeah, sometimes it's too close, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I still haven't met to this day a guy, you know, I'm what am I, 41, similar age, who have been through something similar and come out the other side. It's been positive. So many people I've met, it's been the other side of the story, which is, you know,
or they want to go back to their lives before. They can't wait to get for the period of that time, you know, the treatment over and go back to normal. Whereas actually a lot of people don't ever want to go back to that normal. And
no, I mean, I can't go back. You know, I've made huge, massive, I say sacrifices, no way. You know,
I would say cancer's changed our lives for the better.
Yeah, 100%. It's made me aware of myself. It's you know, our relationship, our children. You know, even like the school run now and again. Pick your children up. You know, just speak to the teacher. Just being involved in their lives. It makes you feel so much better. And you know, we didn't want to be defined with cancer in the fact that everyone comes up to us and go, "Oh, how's things?" They didn't know what to say. And when now everyone's like, "Oh, it's cool, Wolo, what you're doing is brilliant," you know, and there's like a story there we can talk. You know, it's easy to bounce it off.
So
little bit about that guy who I met, of this guy called John Richards. So I was going through my phone, and I remember I speaking to this guy, and I thought he was such a nice bloke, that guy. Like, I didn't know what he did, but he just had something about him.
Yeah.
I remember texting him and just saying, "Oh, you know, I'm going for a really tough time. Are you free just for a chat?" So, you know, 3 years later, I didn't realise he was like he's like a psychotherapist, but also he's like a business mentor, a life coach, that sort of guy. Just what I needed, right? So I worked with him. I say work, you know, we struck a friendship, and he basically literally a year to the day as of now, when things were pretty tough a year ago, I get a call from him, and he's like, "Just, what are you doing next month?" And of course it's Christmas, and I'm like, "It's Christmas, like what?" And he said, "You fancy coming out to the Himalayas, to Nepal, to trek through the mountains on a retreat, organised by the Inspiration Programme, which is part of that Neil Lawton. They do like a dual partnership." And yeah, basically I wanted to say yes, but I said, "Oh, I'll call you later," thinking I can't do that. You know, I haven't even been past the M25 on my own. You know, I've been with Fler since I was 17. We've done everything together, you know. So you know, little did me and myself, you know, on my own, that seemed scary. But so basically Fler, in the evening, I told Fler, and she went, "Oh, it'd be a great idea. Why not? You know, WOLO and all that." And I didn't know, but Fler took my phone off me. I didn't realise, but she texted back and said, "Oh, he'd love to come."
Good girl.
Yeah, off I went. So I'd done that, and you know, for me or someone else to go and do something well out your comfort zone, highly recommend it. And I came back. I'd like to say a changed man, obviously not, but I'd like to come back. I came back with a different perspective of my life, my family, and you know what? It's incredible. And actually, going forward, so hopefully COVID, when it's gone or if it goes, we're going to try and take people out in the wilderness, in nature, so a bit hopefully around the world, but you know, it might be in UK or in the forest around here, and it'll be taking families away and helping them on these retreats, to do, you know, a WOLO, something really incredible,
Yeah.
and just help these families.
And like a healing program.
Yeah, I mean, we went to Wales. We did a recce down in Wales, down in Snowdonia.
Yeah.
Beautiful. We've got like a great venue down there. So, you know, that's the aim of WOLO. Hopefully we can partner with people and get people in these retreats and inspire them, you know, and really help them through their lives. But it's not about just this whole cancer thing. You know, WOLO, at the moment, we're a cancer charity. But, you know, you ask me that in a few years' time, it could be, you know, mental health, it could be heart disease. It's like Fler said, we just want to inspire people to live their best lives.
Yeah.
So if you obviously need people to help you, to volunteer, you need funding and things like that. How can people get in touch with you? What's the best way?
Well, so over the last year, I've been almost like a bit of a guinea pig. So I've, you know, from back in the day of being a bit of a drinker, putting my head in my hands, I've ended up more recently like I've run the Beatsy Head Marathon. We did a skydive a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So we've become these people who go, oh, I'll do that. Do you fancy doing it? And the people ends up sort of tagging on. So we've been doing that, and that's incredible, the amount of support that we've got. But looking for like next year and planning, you know, obviously of all the events and things, we've got all the usual sort of marathons and all these sort of things happening. But we really want people to get behind us and help where they can. You know, if they've got a business and they would love to, you know, use us charity of the year, or, you know, would love to come in and tell our story, because, you know, the statistics are crazy, aren't they? It's like
1 in 2.
1 in 2 they think is going to be affected by cancer in our generation. So, you know, you put that in a business level, that's 50% of their workforce is going to be affected by cancer.
Yeah.
So if business has got a service that they think would benefit any of the families that we're supporting, that will be really helpful. But all the information is on our website, which is wolofoundation.org. All of our upcoming events are on that as well. So people can have a look at things we've got up and coming, or we're always open to new challenges if people have got different ideas. We had somebody who was retiring and did a challenge of 110-mile bike ride and a run or something around the stores that he's managed, and he raised an incredible amount of money, over £7,000 for us. So, and that was completely his idea. So we were always up for people contacting us, and you know, who want to work with us or raise money for us. Anything would be really, really appreciated.
And not only that, you know, we are just an average family who have basically set up a charity. And almost, you know, we're learning it as we're going. We're getting people in to help. You know,
it's just us and a couple of trustees at the moment.
Yeah,
so we're looking at increasing our trustee.
We're embracing it. You know, it's fun, it's exciting, and it's so human to meet real people, not have a facade and pretend, you know, something I'm not.
That's fantastic, guys. You know, I'm sure that we could chat and chat and chat. But if people want to get in touch with you, they know now. WoloFoundation.org. It's been amazing. I think you are incredible. I think it's amazing what you've done, and it's been really lovely having you here on Inspiring Talks Brighton Stories, and hope to
thank you so much.
See you soon.